Hello, hello, hello. It's Lauren McGlamery back here again for the Moving Bravely podcast for episode 2. And I'm so excited to be back here today for episode 2 because episode 1 got so much more excitement than I thought it would. Actually, the stories that my sister leaked the link. It wasn't even live on Spotify yet, and she loved it so much that she just shared it anyway. And then people started to just vibe with it. So I'm so excited to be back here. It got me so pumped to record another episode, and let's just get started. Some things that you can expect from the Moving Bravely podcast moving forward. The biggest thing I've got for you is delivering helpful content that comes from a place of realness, authenticity, vulnerability, and truth. These will come in the form of quick solo episodes with me with some helpful tips and advice and some tricks that I have, and also some longer episodes that will involve interviewing some of the most incredible, multi-passionate, high-performing women in my life and some of the women who join in on my challenges and in my coaching programs. I value storytelling and getting to know others through lived experiences, so I will also be sharing my story along the way for you to get to know me better and hopefully be able to relate, and even more importantly, it will result in you feeling less alone and feeling more empowered to live within your purpose and your potential. So this episode is going to be one of those quick info dumps telling you about my story and what I'm experiencing right now. It is January 6th of 2020. It is a Monday, and it honestly feels like the first day of the year for me. I know that for a fact, and a lot of other people too, because we are just now, it's a Monday, it's a fresh start. We just like to start things on Mondays, right? So I had planned before Christmas that January 6th would be the first day of what I have now called a dry 30. It is avoiding alcohol, no matter what it is, for 30 days. And I am so excited to tell you that it is not day 1, it is day 2. And I'm going to tell you why. Yesterday, I woke up on the last day of an amazing bachelorette weekend for one of my really close girlfriends, and we all had to drive back, and it had snowed the night before, and that driveway was icy, and we were all packing up, and we were all, trying to get everything together and make sure that the driveway and the roads were safe to leave the mountain. And so we were all totally distracted. And so by the time I drove home and got home, I was so tired. I think I ended up taking a nap. And then by the time I woke up, I was, doing laundry and getting ready for the next day because I was going back to work, and I was totally distracted all day, and it was easy to not drink yesterday. Not to mention, we just finished the long holiday season. So it starts with almost Halloween now. It goes into Thanksgiving, and then it goes into Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, and then the bachelorette weekend for me. So it had been a long time coming where I was just ready for a break. And I'm sure a lot of you listening can relate because you probably set goals that came from a similar place, a similar feeling, a similar vibe where you were like, okay, I've got to put a hard reset on this. We do it all the time at the beginning of the year. We set ourselves up for really big, challenging goals, losing weight, working out first thing in the morning, or committing to what I am calling the dry 30. But what have we done to really set ourselves up to keep chasing the goal that seems to be widely accepted on the surface, but many give up and don't accomplish it? Is it because it's requiring a major lifestyle change and we feel like we can't sustain it? Or is it because we feel lonely when we're getting started, so then we end up quitting? I want to dig into this today because I think that when I'm setting my goal of not drinking any alcohol for 30 days, it sounds like it's easy on the surface. It sounds like, oh, no problem. I've got enough willpower and determination. I'm that kind of person. I can do it. I'm disciplined. But I hate to tell you that willpower is not the answer. I relied on willpower for a long, long time when I was fighting negative body image and trying to find this weight that was my weight that I wanted, that I didn't even know what the number meant. And willpower is not something to rely on. It is going to fail you. Yes, you heard me. Willpower will fail you. And let's talk about willpower. Let's get to the bottom of this. What is it? The science behind willpower was exposed to me when I was reading Bright Line Eating, and it is just an incredible neuroscience-backed study about why people weren't successful in dieting. And it's because this willpower thing was so relied upon, and it was really, your body was almost addicted to some things that are in our foods like sugar and flour. And we are just, in our culture, we're eating all of the time, and we have, these rules where if you want to lose weight, you want to eat 6 times a day and this size meal and all these things. And Bright Line Eating was the first time where I was exposed to, it's not that you're not good enough. It's not that you don't have enough discipline. It's not that you aren't strong enough and that you don't want this thing enough. It's that you have this thing called willpower that once it's depleted, it's gone. And it takes a lot of work to recharge yourself and recharge that willpower. Science is saying that it is almost like a battery where when you have a lot of it and you're fully charged, we have plenty of willpower and we can do things that are really tough and require willpower. But there are some things that can deplete this willpower, and we'll talk about that later. But what does it look like in a realistic sense? Well, how many of you have tried to eat cleaner? We'll just put it that way. And you set out and breakfast is great. It's on point. And then you get to lunch and it's great and it's on point. And even your snacks up until that point have become just easy. And then you get to 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, and then you totally eat everything, or you go off track, or something pops in your head and you go off of your plan that you had set, or the foods that you had set for yourself, and all of a sudden you're eating pizza. Well, that's because you've been depleted of willpower. And I know I've talked to a lot of people who experience this. I know what to do. I know the information. I know the research. I know which diet to do. I know what exercises to do. I know where to go. I have a gym membership. I have all this stuff. I know that getting 8 hours of sleep is good for me. I know. And then there's this other side where it's what you actually do. And this is called the willpower gap. It doesn't happen because you aren't strong enough. It doesn't happen because you're not disciplined, if we could say it. But it does happen because you have experienced decision making all day. You're experiencing emotional regulation all day. You're experiencing trying new things and learning new things all day. You're experiencing frustrating situations like being stuck in traffic and running late, which drives me crazy and definitely steals my willpower. And just trying to do a good thing and good job at your job. And so this is what we are talking about when we're talking about a willpower gap. And these things that we experience every day, all day long, are what are taking away from that willpower charge. And so there are some things that we can do to help keep us going so we're not reliant on willpower. I know what you're asking now, or what you're thinking is probably, what is it that's going to help me have a higher level of willpower? What's going to keep me charged up and keep me full? Well, you already know the answer, and I'm just here to, speak it again and make sure that you're hearing it one more time, and that is plan ahead. It is, even in the simplest moments, it's planning your next day, just the timeline of your day and what you plan to do with it. It is planning what outfit you're going to wear the next day ahead of time. It's packing your gym bag and planning to go and already having it in the car. It's planning out your meals and having them already ready. is all a part of this, like being prepared, so that way you're not relying on decision making when it comes to the next morning and you're trying to figure out what shoes to wear with your outfit, and then you change 4 times and then now you're tired. So that is the simplest way of doing this whole recharging of the willpower, or kind of like overcoming this willpower gap. And I'm so thankful today for reading Bright Line Eating by Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson back in 2017, because it has been a long, long journey to get to where I am today, telling you that I am not going to drink alcohol for 30 days when I used to be, so hopelessly attached to sugar and flour, and trying to, achieve this weight that I thought was, my ideal weight, but it really wasn't my ideal weight. It was just what society was telling me. And so once I read this book and I understood that it's not because I'm flawed, it's because I have this natural human tendency to not keep my willpower charged up and ready to go to make sure I'm going the long haul on these long-term lifestyle changes. And Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson says that you only have enough willpower for 15 minutes. So that's way less than there are minutes in a day. And so we are trying to reach a goal with something that only lasts 15 minutes, this lifelong, lifestyle changing goal. And we're using this willpower that's basically shot as soon as you wake up in the morning. So we want to tap into ways to make automaticity a thing in our lives. And it is just an incredible experience to no longer question if you're going to do something, but it's something that you just know you're going to do, and you do it all the time and you do it every day. So taking out some of that in the moment decision making is working towards making things automatic and more habitual. Bright Line Eating is one of the best resources I have found to attack this willpower gap and give you the tools that you need to do so. And it is something that is really specific to the way that we eat and the way that we approach food and weight loss, but it can be useful to set some clear lines for any sort of goal and achieving something that's really hard or as a lifestyle change. And I want to go over a few things that could be tips that you can take into 2020 to make sure that you are accomplishing what you set out to do. First thing you want to consider is simplifying what you're trying to do. So, for example, Dr. Thompson says that you set clear lines around having 3 meals a day. There's nothing in between, no exceptions, not even like bites, licks, or tastes. And it sounds extreme, but let me tell you, simplifying what I'm eating and when I'm eating it, and like that changed my life. It took away that subtle, like very subconscious, low key, am I going to eat? Is there food around? Like you don't even realize that you're doing it in between meals when you don't set that boundary of saying, nope, I eat 3 times a day and that's that. So keeping things really simple is going to help you eliminate some of that willpower use. She also advises against doing too much all at one time. So she discusses that you are already going through so many food changes and like diet and nutrition changes that adding workouts to the mix at the same time is just too much. So she says that, adding those gym times, you're going to be depleted of willpower and you're going to be left vulnerable afterward later in the day. So I actually took this challenge on, and I did not go to the gym at the first part of my Bright Line Eating journey, and it was significant to my success in breaking some of the really terrible habits that I had with eating and some of the things that were really harmful for me and my body and my mind. And so I trusted the process and I did one thing at a time. I put one foot in front of the other. So sometimes we think of these things as like large lifestyle changes, and we have to do it all at once. But really, it's a series of small steps that get you to where you need to be. I could not have done 30 days dry as confidently as I am right now if I had done this 2 years ago. The steps that I took the past 2 years have led me to a place where I feel confident to make this large change now. My biggest advice or tip for you that you can do right now as you're listening to this podcast, or later today if you're at work or you're driving or you're going to the gym or whatever, is to sit down tonight and write your day out tomorrow. Start with when you wake up and end it when you go to bed, and make those times that you know you're gonna hit, and then break your day down, and when you're going to work, and when you're gonna eat breakfast, and when you're gonna eat lunch, and what things you're gonna do in between those gaps, and really take time to just hit the milestones of your day tomorrow. And do this every day, because it is so much easier to pivot when you already have a plan for what you're going to do with your day and your energy. So I did this every day in the 35-day breakthrough challenge because it was brought back to the forefront of my mind of how important it was. And I was starting to relax on my practice of doing this, writing out my next day the night before, and immediately saw relief and felt less stressed. So I encourage you to do that right now, or when you get home from work or you get home from the gym, take 10 minutes and a scratch piece of paper and write out what time you wake up to the time you're planning on going to bed, and write out things and milestones that you're going to hit in between, so you can see where your energy is spent and what you plan to do, and you can be confident going into tomorrow because you have some sort of plan. And when you have some sort of plan, you're able to pivot and be flexible, and you will experience less stress, and that willpower will stay charged up for longer. Now, I have to give a disclaimer that this will not solve everything, because when you start moving in a positive direction and you're making good change and you are feeling some success, you are going to hear a voice in your head that's going to attack you, and it's going to be a really negative experience, and it's going to be hard. And so it's actually one of my coaches has been telling me that, when you're on the right path, that voice is gonna get loud, and you just need to know that it's gonna get loud. And what I've done is I have found my inner circle and my people that I can reach out to, because it is all about social connection. Whenever your willpower fails, someone else is going to step in and push you past that point of willpower depletion. And I think that this is why I'm so passionate about these community challenges, and why my first mission as Moving Bravely's founder is to establish challenge groups that are going to create community for these multi-passionate, high-performing women who have really, really big goals to do and to accomplish and to achieve. And it's the social connection piece that is going to get you there. To sum up all of this that I've been sharing with you through this podcast episode, it is that willpower is not going to show up for you. It's just not. And Dr. Thompson says it's not going to show up for you for food, but it's also not going to show up for you just in everyday life. So if you're chasing big goals and big dreams, you cannot rely on willpower. You have to develop habits, and you have to develop a social community that's going to hold you accountable and cheer you on and pick you up and help you push past that limit and that depleted willpower. So that is the message today. And it weighs heavy on my heart because I am in day 2 of a 30-day dry period, and I sound really jazzed up and energetic right now, but we've got 28 more days to go to hit my target. And I know that the next couple days are going to be the rough patch. So I have to make sure I've got my routines in place. I've got my meals planned. I've got my gym time planned. I have my habits that are going to propel me past this willpower thing. So I won't be vulnerable, and I won't give in to this idea or this social drinking that I know will be something that I face in the coming 28 days. So that is our message today. And I'm really, really interested to hear, how did it land with you? Have you ever heard about this willpower gap? Were you experiencing some of the things that I was experiencing before I knew that it was just depletion of willpower, about like how I was thinking I was not good enough, I wasn't talented enough, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't disciplined enough, and I wasn't meant to achieve that thing I'd set out to achieve. And once I found out about willpower, it just blew all of that apart. And I started to become equipped in how to deal with it. And you know that every time I get on this mic and start telling a little bit about my story and what I've learned, and hoping that it can help you, is that I want to hear from you. I want to know, what are you struggling with? What are you facing in 2020? Like, what is it? Did this resonate with you? Did you learn something new? Did you already know about it? Can you share more information with me so I can be stronger in the next 28 days of this dry season for me? I am so excited to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram. It is Moving Bravely on Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook too. You can just search Moving Bravely and you will find me there. And that's all for episode 2. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this episode. And if you have anything to share with me, that will be helpful for my journey. I would like to hear about it. And I can't wait to bring some of the greatest people I know onto this podcast. And I'm going to leave you with a little bit more of My Love by Anna of the North. And we'll see you next time.